Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our pre-arrival webinar focusing on graduate student funding and finances. This pre-arrival webinar series is actually a collaboration between the International Students and Programs Office, as well as the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs. And first off, we just want to congratulate you on your acceptance to UC San Diego. Our offices are here to assist you throughout your stay in the United States, as well as provide services that enhance the quality of your experience and contribute to your academic success here at UC San Diego. My name is Grace Fuller, and I serve as the Manager of International Student Experience and Engagement here at the International Students and Programs Office. And I'll pass it over to my colleagues to introduce themselves. We have a number of great colleagues gathered here today, and we can just go down the line.
Hi, I'm Courtney Aguila. I'm the Assistant Director of the Graduate Student Financial Support Unit in the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs.
Hi, I'm Laura Jimenez, and I'm the Graduate Employment Coordinator.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shauna Slapiota, and I work in student affairs within our division. Part of my role is organizing orientation and welcome activities for new graduate students.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy. I work at Student Financial Solutions, and basically I work under the student account division, where we help understand your billing statement and your overall account activity.
So as you can see, we have a number of different folks here today to help give some really quality information, but a little housekeeping before we begin. So first, you are in listen only mode, which means you can hear us, but we cannot hear you, unfortunately. So the primary way that we will interact today is through the Q&A feature on your Zoom menu bar. A quick note, so we have a lot of good information prepared, but we will have time for an open question and answer session at the end. So we do ask that you wait until our speakers have been able to offer some of that really good information, because you'll find that they might have answered some of your questions. But then we will get into our final reminders, and that's a great time to submit any questions that you have that have not been answered. Additionally, if for any reason we don't get to answer a question today, you can always contact us via icontact.ucsd.edu. And then finally, we are recording. So you will be able to view this webinar recording as well as previous webinar recordings at iwebinars.ucsd.edu, and you'll click on webinars for newly admitted students. Friendly reminder, so this is what the Q&A feature will look like on your Zoom menu bar. As a quick note, the chat has been disabled for attendees. So again, this will be the primary way that you'll be submitting your questions. We will sometimes use the chat function to share relevant links with you and things of that nature. But again, you'll go ahead and submit questions through that Q&A feature. And with that, I will hand it over to my colleague Shauna for some reminders.
Thank you, Grace. I just want to share some information from our graduate admissions team. Your application portal includes a lot of helpful information for newly admitted graduate students. And you can visit your portal. You can view your portal by visiting grad.ucsd.edu. And that's how you access it. And in a moment, I am going to share a screenshot and just point out a couple of helpful things to look at when you're viewing your portal. It's important to remember that most students are admitted provisionally, which means that you still have to submit some kind of official documentation to the graduate admissions team. And again, you can find a list of these documents in your portal. So it will be available there. It's under the pending admissions documents section. I also specifically want to point out for students who are international that a provisional admission should not impact your ability to get immigration documents. So you should be able to go through that process as a provisional admit. If you have any questions about any of this information, please contact our grad admissions staff at grad.admissions.ucsd.edu. I'm going to put the link or put the email address in the chat, and they will be sure to help you out. So this is the screenshot of your portal that I mentioned. On the upper left part of the screen, you will be able to see the place where your UCSD PID number is will show up for applicants, and that's an important piece of information. You will need your PID in lots of places, so that's where you'll find it. And then below that, any updates to your status would be posted below under status update. Continuing down the page on the left, you'll see a list of any forms that you have to submit as an admitted student. And at the bottom is where your pending admissions documents would be posted. I also want to draw your attention to the bottom right, sort of highlighted section of the page. This has links to a lot of information for admitted students, and it's organized by items that you need to take care of right away versus things that can wait a little bit. So there's lots of great links here, lots of helpful information. I'm also going to put a direct link in the chat to the admitted student section of our website. And with that, thank you very much, Grace, and I'll pass it to the next speaker.
Hello and welcome again. I'll introduce myself again. I'm Courtney Aguila. I'm the Assistant Director of the Graduate Student Financial Support Unit. And with me today is Laura Jimenez, one of our Graduate Student Employment Coordinators. And we work in the UC San Diego Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs. I'm happy to be presenting you with information about financial support for graduate students. I'll also share contact information with you for staff in both our office and the International Students and Programs Office in the event you have more questions after reviewing these slides. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to welcoming you to UC San Diego. Now let's talk about graduate student financial support. This presentation will cover important campus contacts and resources that graduate students should be aware of. Additionally, we will provide some general information about the student roles and responsibilities as they relate to the different types of financial support you may receive while at UC San Diego. The graduate coordinator in your academic home department should be your primary source for all financial support matters. They will be able to answer most of your questions regarding merit-based financial support and academic employment. There are also staff members in the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs, and specifically in the Graduate Financial Support Unit, who may also be able to assist you with your questions. The Graduate Student Financial Support Unit is made up of the following staff members. Tiffany Swiderski is the director. The graduate employment team can assist with employment-related tuition and fee payment questions, as well as academic appointment policies and support eligibility. The fellowship disbursements team can assist with fellowship stipend questions and fellowship tuition and fee payment questions. The fellowship advisor can help with pre-award fellowship processing. By working with this coordinator, students can get assistance submitting fellowship applications or help with the application process. This coordinator specializes in the NIH F31, the American Heart Pre-Doctoral Fellowship, Fulbright US Student Program, Fulbright Hayes, the Chancellor's Interdisciplinary Collaboratories, and the Tobacco-Related Disease Research Program. Detailed information about graduate student support policies, employment opportunities, and more can be found on the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs website. The website was designed with current and continuing students in mind and has a wealth of information. Be sure to check out the Financial Support and Student Life tab, which includes information on employment, career development, and events for current UC San Diego graduate students. Students interested in scheduling appointments with a career advisor, exploring internship opportunities, and signing up for career development can also visit Handshake. Handshake is the online job posting system of the UC San Diego Career Center. Students interested in fellowship opportunities can also make use of UCLA's GRAPES website. This is an online database with searchable filters for fellowships available to graduate students. And a final resource is Pivot, which is a fellowship database accessible while connected to the UC San Diego wireless network. The department from which the student will earn their degree is called the Academic Home Department or Home Department. The Home Department for each student will be able to determine the student's eligibility for financial support, gives approval for other departments to hire students, and they submit fee payment requests on behalf of their students. Students also have responsibilities in order to become eligible and maintain eligibility for financial support. Students must enroll full-time by published deadlines, pay fees by published deadlines, submit requested documents through Glacier, submit their application for Social Security numbers or ITIN when instructed to, obtain approval or pre-approval from their home department, sign up for direct deposit, maintain employment authorization, complete tax forms as appropriate, and use the online student portal as needed. Now, let's transition to a different funding mechanism, fellowships. When considering which fellowships to apply for, it's important to know that there are two kinds of fellowships. The first time is intramural. In short, it means that this money is coming from UC San Diego. The funds are from an internal source. Some of you may have already received notice of fellowships from your respective departments. That money is considered intramural funding. The second type is extramural. This means that the money is coming from an entity outside of the university. These external funds can come from a corporation like Google, or a government like the National Institutes of Health, or nonprofits like the American Heart Association. Many intramural fellowships do not have the citizenship requirement that many federal extramural fellowships have. To find out more information about these intramural fellowships, talk with your department coordinator. Your coordinator will also have more information about discipline-specific opportunities. Once you know the difference between intramural and extramural funding, the first thing you should do to narrow down your search is ask yourself, what exactly do I need money for? Do I need money for training? Do I need money for research abroad? Also consider where you are on your degree track. Am I at the pre-doctoral stage of career? How many more years to completion? Have I advanced to candidacy? All of these questions will generate keywords for you to search for. At this time, you are all at the pre-doctoral stage, so make sure to include that as you search for more opportunities. Match your purpose to the purpose of the opportunity being presented, and make sure to identify the kind of award you are looking for. These categories may include travel, training, research, and general scholarships. Now that you know what to look for when searching for fellowships, let's consider some tips for when you begin applying. The first is to read the whole program announcement. Create an outline of what the purpose of the opportunity is, eligibility requirements, application components, the award package, and what your obligations will be as a fellow. Be aware of the eligibility requirements so that you'll know with certainty that you can apply for the opportunity. If you have a question about eligibility, ask the agency. Itemize the application materials and see how many people need to be involved in your application. Do you need letters of recommendation? If so, let your recommenders know as soon as possible. It's also good to supply your recommenders with your proposal and copy of the opportunity announcement so that they can write tailored recommendations. Know the requirements. Some solicitations may require reporting, a letter to the donor, maintaining certain academic statuses, etc. Know the award package. Will the agency pay for your tuition and fees, or maybe only 60% of your tuition and fees? Be on the lookout for who can submit the application. Some applications require institutional submission or a signature from a business official. Some of the buzzword terms to watch out for are authorized organizational representative, business official, signing official, institutional submission, or any combination of these words. If you do see these words, email grad.advisor@ucsd.edu as soon as possible to help you process your application. On this slide, you will find a list of fellowships that you may want to look into. You can find some of these opportunities on our website, like the Chancellor's Interdisciplinary Collaboratories and Friends of the International Center. Others you can find by searching the web. Also, don't forget to look at fellowship opportunities that your home country provides for students to study abroad. And now I'm going to hand it over to Laura Jimenez, who will talk to us about employment.
Okay, great. Okay, so our other type of financial support that we are going to cover is academic employment. There are two broad categories: one, research, and two, instructional and instructional support. Graduate student researchers, or GSRs, perform research under the direction of a faculty member. The research may be in their home department or another department. In this role, students may be appointed up to 49.99% during the academic months and up to 100% during the summer, with approval from their home departments. Students in this role are paid monthly. Students may also be appointed as one of the following: associate, teaching assistant, or TAs, reader, and tutors. In these roles, students may be appointed up to 50% during the academic months and up to 100% during the summer, with approval from their home department. Associates and teaching assistants are paid monthly, and readers and tutors may be paid monthly or bi-weekly. Next slide, please. Students should always check with their home department first for employment opportunities. Additionally, opportunities are posted to the Job Opportunities Bulletin each year, typically in early May. International graduate students should also review the requirements on the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Education website. Next slide, thank you. Depending on the type of financial support you are awarded, you may receive fee remission or a fee payment as part of your support package. Fellowship fee payment may be part or all of the tuition and fees charged to a student. The amount of these payments are determined by your home department. Fee remission are benefits of employment in the graduate academic titles that we have mentioned. The payment amounts are predetermined and are set by campus policies. Next slide, please. Okay. A graduate student researcher, or a GSR, who is employed at 25% or more for a quarter has an appointment that begins the first week of the quarter and is within the campus support time limits, is eligible to have all mandatory tuition and fees paid as a prerequisite of employment. Next slide, please. Now, ASE, students employed as an associate, TA, readers, and tutors are considered academic student employees, or ASCs. An ASC who's employed at 25% or more for the quarter is eligible for ASC partial fee remission. This fee remission covers the following fees: tuition, student service fees, health insurance, and $100 towards other campus fees. The ASC partial fee remission does not cover the non-student resident tuition and fee charge. Next slide, please. There may be instances when holds are placed on student accounts. Holds are placed for outstanding debt that will prevent a student from stipend check and tuition and fee payment from being distributed in a timely manner. Holds may be placed for the following reasons: amounts owed for tuition and fees, enrollment and registration late fees, housing, library fines, bookstore charge. Students can contact the Student Financial Solutions to resolve outstanding debts, and they will be covered in the next slide. So thank you for listening to this webinar for incoming international graduate students. If you have further questions about financial support, you may contact your home department or financial support unit in the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctorate Education. We look forward to welcoming you to UC San Diego. Thank you.
All right, hi everyone. So again, I'm Nancy, and I'll be covering the holds portion of this presentation for our office, Student Financial Solutions. Okay, so Student Financial Solutions, it again is going to be your main point of contact. If you ever have any questions about your bill, we might need to redirect you to a different office, such as your graduate department, depending on what your question is. But we should be able to be your first or main point of contact if you ever have any questions about your bill or the amount that's due. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to contact us. Our information is up on the screen. I will also send on the chat, just if you have questions about holds that are assessed by our office specifically. There are other offices that assess holds, but our office specifically has the holds assessed by us on our website. So you can contact us via phone Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can also visit us in our physical location. We're located on the Student Services Center. And then you can submit a question through our portal 24/7. We also have some helpful articles on there, knowledge-based articles, to help you learn more information about our office and certain processes. And then finally, you can visit our website. I linked our part of the website that specifically talks about holds in the chat. And then Thursdays, we are open at 10 a.m. So just be aware of that. You can also follow us on Instagram. We'll post helpful information such as reminders of billing due dates and just any other events that we're holding. So if you follow us on Instagram, you'll be able to connect with us. And then you can also visit our resources page. We have a lot of useful information on there, such as previous webinars. And we will also be holding our own webinars. So you can either watch the webinars that are on the resources page, or you can also attend some of the webinars we'll be holding this summer for incoming students.
All right, so I'm going to share an opportunity for you to already start getting involved here at UC San Diego. Okay, so Grad Pals is a peer mentorship program designed specifically for incoming graduate students. So through Grad Pals, you can sign up to have a current graduate student be your Grad Pal at UC San Diego. Most commonly, students ask that they're matched with students within their same department to help them orient them to UC San Diego. And typically we recruit for Grad Pals in spring, and then we'll match them for the summer, because that's often when our students have a lot of questions about everything from orienting to their academic department, but also like, what should I pack and things to be aware of? What do I buy here versus buy there? So GradPals gives students an opportunity to ask non-academic related questions, provide them with support during your first few weeks, and ease your transition into graduate life here at UC San Diego. If you're interested, I went ahead and put the URL in the chat, and you can sign up for your GradPal today. And then a few other resources that I like to highlight that are relevant for our students. So we understand that the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the ability for many students over the last few years to secure visa appointments or to make travel arrangements to the US. If for some reason you are unable to secure a visa appointment due to limited availability, or you're impacted by other travel restrictions, know that our office is here to work with you. So iupdates.ucsd.edu is being continually updated to understand what's happening in the world, but also what that might mean for you as an international graduate student here at UC San Diego. So this is a great point of reference specifically for our international population as it comes to some of these changes. I also want to highlight Return to Learn. So Return to Learn is a really comprehensive website regarding UC San Diego's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's also a great resource to share with family members if they're concerned. And there's a dashboard showing data of UC San Diego students, employees who have been tested for COVID and how many positive cases there might be. So it's a comprehensive website, like I said, that outlines campus efforts to return to in-person teaching and learn in the safest way possible. And that is just ReturnToLearn.ucsd.edu. All right, something that I want to highlight specifically for our incoming students is the vaccine mandate. So please be aware that students will need to complete 3 health requirements by July 11th, 2022. These 3 requirements include complying with the COVID-19 vaccination requirement, completing the TB risk assessment questionnaire, and completing the regular immunization requirement. A failure to meet these requirements may result in an inability to enroll in fall 2022 classes. If you're curious learning more about the vaccine mandate and how to be in compliance, I went ahead and put that link into the chat, as well as I'll link to the Triton checklist vaccine guidance for fall quarter 2022. If you have any questions about your specific situation or how you might be in compliance, you can log into My Student Chart and send a message to a nurse via Ask a Nurse function, or email ucsdtha@ucsd.edu. And that stands for Triton Health Ambassador, THA. Okay, so a few important deadlines and reminders. So there are a few things that you can start doing now. So one would be beginning to request your visa documents via iPortal. The other being applying for on-campus housing. Next, we have a pre-arrival webinar that's talking about graduate student life here at UC San Diego. That's coming up on May 12th. And again, July 11th is the deadline to complete those 3 health requirements that I just mentioned. And finally, we are so excited to welcome you to new International Student Orientation in September. And you can learn more at iorientation.ucsd.edu. All right, so I mentioned our Student Life webinar on May 12th, but we do have a couple other webinars coming up. So on May 10th, we'll talk about SEVIS transfers. So this might apply to you if you are already studying in the US. Let's say at your undergrad institution was in the US and you would like to transfer your SEVIS record to UC San Diego. If that applies to you or you're curious about how to do so, May 10th, that webinar will be dedicated to the details of that. On May 17th, we'll be talking about campus safety. And on May 19th, we're going to be talking about finances and student accounts. So be aware that this webinar specifically is for our graduate student population. On May 19th, it'll talk a little bit more about how to pay potentially some of your accounts, and we'll be partnering with Student Financial Solutions again to talk through some of those pieces. But all webinars will be recorded and posted at iwebinars.ucsd.edu. Again, that's webinars for newly admitted students. And additionally, you can sign up for any upcoming webinars using that same website. Okay, so we have reached the open question and answer session of our webinar today. So please go ahead, and if there isn't a question that we answered for today's webinar, you can go ahead and submit that via the Q&A function. But I see that there are already some really good questions in the Q&A. So Shauna, if I can, I'll begin with this first question that reads, how do I know who my graduate coordinator is and how should I contact them?
Right. So the graduate coordinator, that is a term that we use a lot in our office, and that is referring to a staff member in your home department. So as opposed to a faculty member. The graduate coordinator sometimes is called the graduate advisor. And this is, again, this is a staff member who is often the first person to contact for graduate students in their department. You may have already connected with this person or received communications with them, but if you're unsure, I would say look at the department's website to find out who that person is or how to contact them. Courtney or Laura, do you have any other thoughts on connecting with a graduate coordinator?
I don't think additional thoughts. My experience is that the coordinators will reach out to the students at the time of orientation or close to orientation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think you may very well hear from them, or I would also, like I said, check the website to find out their contact information.
Wonderful. And then our next question is there any last date to submit the official degree certificate?
So in general, it's best to submit your official degree documentation as soon as you can. We are accepting documentation now for students who are joining us in the fall. That being said, if you want to wait until you arrive in the US in the fall quarter and connect with our office then and submit the paperwork, you can. What you want to avoid is an enrollment hold that would prevent you from enrolling in the second. If you start in the fall, your second quarter of enrollment would be winter, which starts in January. You might have an enrollment hold if we have not received your documentation at that time. So in general, I just tell people to do it as soon as you can. And you can also submit once you arrive in the fall quarter if you are a fall admit.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. We have another question in the chat. Courtney, this might be for you. And the question reads, can I take up other jobs even if I am a GSR?
Maybe one of the most common questions is what combination of financial support can a graduate student hold? And the answer is it really varies. The UC and UC-wide and the UCSD policy is that students are able to hold GSR appointments, instructional appointments, and be supported by private loans, fellowships, all at the same time. What we really want to pay attention to is what the requirements of each of the jobs are. And the best way to help manage that is to connect with the coordinator in your graduate academic home department. Your home department coordinator will be able to tell you if a certain fellowship precludes employment. That means while you're on that fellowship, it does not allow you to have employment. They'll help you with managing the limits of employment. There's a 50% cap, remember, on the FTE of your combined appointments. So you don't want to go over that amount. But really, the coordinator in your home department will help you navigate how to package your own support. So yes, you are able to have multiple types of support, but we just want to make sure that you don't make yourself ineligible for one or more by taking on too many.
Wonderful. Thank you. All All right, we have another question that reads, when will I be instructed to get my SSN or social security number?
So after the students, after you are offered an academic appointment as a GSR, as a TA, the next step for your department will be to put you into payroll. And at that time, with your formal offer of employment, you will be able to request a social security number here in the US. So it's after you are offered your letter of employment that you will get instructions from your home department to then apply and report back with the new number. Now, in the time between you being offered the employment and you getting the new number, that's not going to hold up your payroll. We have a way to put in kind of placeholder information while you retrieve that, while you apply for that information. You'll get instructions at that time, and it'll be very important for you to report back to your home department your new social security number so that the payroll process can be completed.
All right, I see another question in the chat that's asking a little bit about orientation dates. So I think it's important to be aware that you as an international graduate student have a couple orientations to be aware of. So for example, for international orientation, you will be completing iTriton, which is our online orientation over the summer. That's completely virtual. But then you'll also have, again, virtual sessions September 7th, 8th, and 9th. And then in-person welcome programming starting on September 12th, that's optional, but strongly recommended. However, that's just one piece of the puzzle for international graduate students. You also have the orientation for Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs, as well as department orientation. So it's really important that you're checking in with these 3 different offices to make sure that you're aware of all orientation requirements, because one of these offices, your department, for example, might have an in-person orientation that's important for you to be aware of, even if, for example, international orientation, those required pieces are virtual. Shauna, anything you would add to that?
I was going to add, similar to ISPO, we also, our division also has online orientation modules that will be available this summer. Right now, we expect them to be available on July 1st for incoming fall students. And this is a series of modules with information on various campus resources that you will be able to have access to before starting your program. Otherwise, I'm trying to pull up the link to our to the orientation page of our website. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat. That's the best place to check information. We're still kind of finalizing some of our events, and once it's finalized, it'll be on the site. So I'm going to put a link to it, and that would be where you would want to keep checking. Thank you, Grace.
All right. There's another question that I have some construction happening outside of my window at this time. So I apologize if that confuses you in terms of your ability to hear me. Shauna, there's a question for you regarding, and the question reads, I'm an incoming graduate ECE student for fall 2022. My I-20 mentions the program start date as September 19th. Are there any on-campus orientation programs before that program start date?
Right. So this was kind of part of those orientation questions that I wanted to make sure to address. Our division is planning an in-person resource fair on September 8th. That's not fully finalized, though, I should say. I just want to mention that there could be an event that happens before the 19th of September. It is not required. It's something that's optional for students who would like to attend. But again, I just checked the website for the most up-to-date information. There's, can I just mention something else, Grace? I wanted to remind folks, this webinar series has been ongoing, and we previously had a webinar that was focused on the instructional assistant positions, which would include a TA or a tutor or a reader. So we had a session where we really went into a lot of detail on those roles. I've noticed there's a couple questions about being a TA or some of these instructional assistant positions. And so I would encourage folks to view that recording. I don't know off the top of my head if it's up right now. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you, Grace. So it had a lot of great information, and we did, like I said, include details on that particular, those particular positions. And so I would just want to let folks know it's out there, and you can also view that webinar if you have more questions about being a TA or a tutor or a reader.
Courtney or Laura, any questions, common questions that are sticking out to you that you think would be helpful to verbally highlight?
I think another one of the common questions we get every year is, where can I apply for jobs? Let me just pull up this link, the employment opportunities. There are a couple of places. Let me see, everyone. When it comes to applying for graduate academic appointments, I really recommend that students connect with the coordinator in their home department first. A lot of academic home departments have a certain amount of TA slots that they need to fill, a certain amount of reader and tutor positions they need to fill, and they may be earmarked for students in their own home department. But there are lots of departments on campus, the writing programs, for example, that will post their open TA positions. And so the link that I posted for our employment opportunities has a link to the job opportunities bulletin, open TA appointments, TA and instructional appointments. And then Handshake is a good place if you're looking for like maybe research opportunities or graduate student researcher appointments that are project specific. They may not last the whole year, but they'll be beneficial for your own experience. But really, for grad academic employment, your home department is your best starting point. And then, of course, you can peruse our website, but that's what I would say about that. Mm-hmm.
Can I add something, Courtney?
Mm-hmm.
Handshake is also good for other on-campus employment that's not necessarily tied to your degree. So for example, within our division, within our unit, we hire graduate interns. So I have a grad life intern that is helping me with orientation programming. So that is not really connected necessarily to the student's scholarship, but it is an on-campus position. It is good professional development. They're still building skills. And those types of positions exist for graduate students, and Handshake is where you would also go to apply for them.
All right. I'll also just note that I see if you have questions regarding your I-20 or for ISPO specifically, in addition to attending or in addition to emailing inewstudent@ucsd.edu, you also can attend drop-in advising with ISPO, with an international student advisor. To access advising, you would go to icontact.ucsd.edu. And then you can click on the drawer that says online drop-in advising via Zoom. And that will give you information in terms of how to log into advising. And then you can meet with an ISPO advisor to talk specifically about your question and your case scenario. So that's a really good way. Let's say if you have a very specific question regarding your scenario, it's a great way to be able to talk with someone live and get those questions answered.
Kind of along those lines, Grace, there have been some questions about degree certifications and degree conferrals. that are kind of specific to the student's case. So the grad admissions email is always a good place to go when you have something that is a situation that might be a little unique to you, and our staff there can assist. I am not able to go into specific cases right now. I can provide kind of general information about the time frame and the process and what that looks like. But if you are asking about something that's, like I said, a very unique situation, then our grad admission staff would really be the best ones to kind of guide you in that answer.
All right. Are there any last reminders or questions that we want to answer from my fellow panelists before we wrap up today's webinar? Okay, well, first off, I just want to thank you to my fellow panelists. We've covered a lot of good information today, and we wouldn't be able to do this without the incredible work of my colleagues. And so thank you to them, as well as thank you to you for being here. Please know that you have so many folks here to support you during your time at UC San Diego. And I feel confident that you can reach out to any one of our offices. And if we can't answer your question, we'll definitely try to connect you with someone who can. So I invite my colleagues, I think they already have, but to put any contact information in the chat. You can see some further contact information on our screen right here. But with that, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening where you are. And we hope to see you again for another Pre-Revel webinar. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great day.